Hi guys, here with another review, and this time it's Supergirl. I saw this movie last weekend, and I got thoughts on it. And this is the newest movie from the DC Universe, produced by James Gunn and directed by Craig Gillespie, and stars MillyAlcock as Supergirl. And yeah, I had a lot of high expectations from this movie. Her character was teased in the ending of last year's Superman with David Cornsweet, and so I was like, okay, like I'm interested in the character. I want to see, how she does in a movie, a solo movie, and a lot of people loved her comic book, Woman of Tomorrow, that this movie is taken inspiration from, taken elements from, and yeah, this movie to me, I liked it, but I didn't love it, and it was kind of a forgettable movie, due in part because the main villain wasn't very threatening. We seem to get a lot of that with the superhero movies. We get lackluster villains, and this has happened with the Marvel movies. It has happened to some DC movies, not all. We mostly get some really good villains with the Batman movies, but yeah, there's like just a villain problem that DC seems to be copying from Marvel, or just falling flat on their face, just like Marvel has, and with only two exceptions being Thanos and Killmonger in Marvel. But yeah, I also thought that the movie's pacing got slow towards the middle, and it really became kind of like a boring affair. The story of this movie follows a little bit of the comic book, with Supergirl fighting against these brigands who injure Crypto, and she has to go and find like an antidote to heal him. But also, they also killed the family of this girl that follows Supergirl, and she wants revenge for what these brigands did to her family. And Supergirl is there to kind of mentor her and kind of show her the ways of not being vengeful, because it's going to eat at you. And that element I really liked, because this little girl is very feisty. She wants to always fight. She wants to kill the leader of the brigands, Krem, that killed her parents. And so, Supergirl has to watch out for her, and show her the way to not following revenge. And I liked that. That was good. I did like some of the fight choreography. I thought her fighting scenes, Supergirl, were really good, but there's just parts of this movie that were forgettable. It just didn't seem, you know, like it had any, like it was saying something important. It kind of skirted around the stuff about revenge, and they kind of ruin it towards the end with Supergirl making a decision on the villain. And you spend all this time of her talking to the girl, Ruthie, and telling her revenge is not the way, revenge is not the way. And then Supergirl, I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it comes down to Supergirl making the decision, and I feel like that could have been better. Although it kind of reminded me of Man of Steel in that way, with Henry Cavill's Superman, with the decision that he had to make with Zod. So I don't know. I mean, these superhero movies, they're inconsistent in some ways, in terms of their tones. This movie does start out very like dark, and it's actually a pretty dark movie, um, which I was surprised by. But I think that's one element that they took from the comic book. But other than that, like the big structural parts of the comic book and like some of the like bigger scenes, they kind of don't have in this movie. Um, it's a cool like intergalactic western. I'll give it that. I liked the kind of space western vibe that it has, uh, with Supergirl kind of being this loner, like this lone gunfighter. And yeah, I just thought that the main villain was just not interesting. He just wore like this scary like armor that he had on, but other than that, he just gave like these weird like looks to the camera and came off as kind of like this oddball villain. I just didn't buy it. I just didn't think, and the actor who plays the villain's a really good actor, but it just wasn't, there as a villain, as a strong, uh, opponent against Supergirl. And when it comes to these movies, it's all about pitting the hero versus the villain. And yeah, the villain in the story was weak. I really am getting sick and tired of the music in this movie. Not the score. The score is really good. I really love the sound, the orchestral soundtrack. It's just the needle drops of popular music thrown in. I'm starting to get a little pissed off about it. I mean, they only did two in like Superman, and it was fine. But now it's starting to wear. And honestly, is this movie really a Craig Gillespie movie, or is this just a James Gunn movie? Because I felt like it had more James Gunn elements than the director's Craig Gillespie. And I mean, hey, James Gunn is the head of the studio at DC, so, but I feel like he puts a lot of his own stuff into these movies that aren't directed by him or written by him. So that kind of sucks. And yeah, it's just like it's a forgettable mid superhero movie. If you gotta to make a superhero movie nowadays, you gotta go like Spider-Man, Batman, Avengers level, in terms of quality. In terms of quality, not like Avengers, like where it's always like end of the world type of stuff, or Batman where it's overly very dark, uh, or Spider-Man where maybe can be too light of an affair. I just felt like you gotta up the ante with these superhero movies because it's getting boring to audiences like me. And it's funny because I read comic books. I love like animated series on superheroes. I love this stuff, but this one just felt like it just didn't. You know, it wasn't that great. It was just an okay movie that I would probably recommend for you guys to like check on HBO Max when it comes out on there. But I don't think I recommend seeing it in a theater. Uh, it could have been better. I was really expecting, this DC universe to be, you know, something different than what we got with the last DC universe with Zack Snyder and everyone. Although there are elements of the Zack Snyder stuff that I really like. And it just got ruined because of Warner Brothers and the studio executives. And I feel like we're seeing that again. I feel like if Superman Man of Tomorrow doesn't work, we're just gonna do another reboot of this, and it's frustrating because that would be the third time that we have to reboot this stuff. And yeah, I hope that movie does well. I know Supergirl is gonna be a big element in that movie, and that's great. Just hope the writing is good, which I feel like could be hit or miss on James Gunn with that, or the people that he employs. I just, I don't know. I really wish that this movie was good, but it's only just an average superhero movie, mid movie, nothing more. But, what I did like, I want to also point out that I really liked MillyAlcock as Supergirl. I don't think the issues with her, I think the issues just with the writing and some of the stuff that they, you know, put in the movie, just like the villain and stuff. But I liked MillyAlcock as Supergirl. I thought she was very charismatic. I thought she had, was charming. I thought she did the hero justice in that regard. I would like to have her come back again. Uh, and she's going to be in Man of Tomorrow, so that's good. But yeah, overall, I didn't think this movie was great. And yeah, but let me know if you guys have seen it. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you thought of Supergirl. If it should have been better, or if you were just fine with what it was. But yeah, let me know. Anyway, have a good one, guys. Bye.